everyone. I'm Rebecca Weber. This is your AMAC podcast, Better for America. If you're not getting your political news from AMAC, then you won't be informed about American politics. And to all of our AMAC'ers out there listening, I know that you know that, but it is a fact you're not really informed about American politics unless you visit AMAC and join over 2 million patriotic Americans and become a member today. And that's why I need you to hit that subscribe button, like, follow, and share wherever you are on social media. An interview like this really gets me excited because we have the privilege of having with us Congressman Jeff Van Drew of New Jersey's 2nd District. Now, Congressman Van Drew is a Democrat turned Republican, and before he made the switch to the right, he was the first Democratic congressman to ever be openly endorsed by President Donald Trump. He just won his primary this past June, and he also won the AMAC Patriot Award back in April. Now, throughout his time in office, he has been a thoughtful advocate for real change and has not backed away from the hard questions and tough debates, but instead he has stepped up and he has done what he thought needed to be done. With over 40,000 AMAC members in New Jersey state alone and over 5,000 residents in his district, Congressman Van Drew continues to be a proven supporter of veterans, seniors, consumers, and children. It's truly an honor, as we look at the teeth of the 2022 midterm election cycle, to have with us a leader from New Jersey's 2nd District and someone whom I'm sure we'll be hearing from a lot in the months ahead. Welcome, Congressman Van Drew, to the show. Happy to have you here.
Oh, it's great to be with you. Thanks for having me. I love the opportunity to reach out to the folks that are out there. And you're very right. You want to make sure they're getting the real news, not just some pablum that's on television just to make people feel good, or very often is just woke news that doesn't even tell the truth. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate what you do very much.
Well, thank you, Congressman. There are so many issues that are confronting the nation today, and so many that are really impacting the people that we are so concerned about, like veterans, seniors, and children. So I do want to start with a question that I think will really inspire our over 2.4 million AMAC members. Congressman, you were once a Democrat, and you finally said, enough is enough, and you became a Republican. And this is exactly what Ronald Reagan himself did. And of course, he went on to become an incredible national and world leader. And so I'm very curious and would like to ask you, what caused you to take this shift of the heart and become a Republican? And do you see that others might be following suit and switching as they watch the Democrat Party really drift further and further away from core values, which is really impacting Americans and leaving us with devastating effects on average Americans?
Yep. Faith, family, freedom, all important. And, it was a process. So I was always a conservative. I was what they called a blue dog Democrat. And you remember years ago, there used to be more of them. They're just drifting away. There aren't many, and a few more just lost their primary elections because the progressives are really pushing to get rid of them. But I was a blue dog Democrat. I was a conservative. But, my family had always been in the Democratic Party. And the people I first met when I got involved with politics said it was a Big Ten and anybody could be involved if they wanted to, and you could have different viewpoints. So I was. But I noticed as time went along, and particularly when I got into Congress, just how many things were wrong with the Democratic Party. The party wasn't really concerned about doing what was right or what was good, but even the legislation was just messaging bills that the title would say one thing, but the reality of what the bill does, if you read the text, or if they ever gave, a Republican the time to read the text, were totally different. And then there became the impeachment. Let's be clear. Some people like Donald Trump. Some people don't. I love him. I've gotten along with him. He's a friend of mine. But whether you like him or not was not the issue. That's not what impeachment is for, because you don't like a president or his policies. Impeachment is because of very serious issues, as we all know. And when they went to the point they said that they were going to impeach, I said, I'm not voting for it. And I was pretty much the only, Democrat that said that. And it really came down to me meeting with leadership both at home in district and also in DC. And they pretty much told me, in fact, an exact quote was, "You will obey." And I thought, are you kidding me? And, on the lighter side, I said, I'm from Jersey, just to be a little bit, hey, it's going to be pretty hard to just tell me I'm going to obey and I'm going to obey. And I said, no, I'm not. And I voted the right way. And I voted for what I thought was right. And then it was all the other things on top of it, though. And I spoke a lot about it on shows like yours and on shows on, Fox, whatever, different shows. And the president happened to see me a number of times. So, I thought maybe I'm just going to leave politics because I wasn't staying in that party. Again, like Reagan said, the party left me. I didn't leave the party. President's people called me. I met with him. We spoke for about an hour and a half. It was a great conversation, great guy. He just turned and looked at me at that special turn that he has. And he said, "Jeff, you should be a Republican." I said, "Mr. President, I'm going to be a Republican." This was a few years ago. And he jumped up. He said, "Let's do it right now." And I said, "Mr. President, I really do have to go home and tell my wife and kids first." But that's how he gets excited about things. And so a few days later, we did it. Best thing I ever did. I'm very, very happy in the Republican Party. And God, I would have been in such pain if I had been in the Democratic Party. Look at the things that they've done to our country.
Yeah, and this administration, it's hardly recognizable. We know that so many Democrats are disappointed. People care about things like law and order. People care about borders.
Yes.
People care about how children are handled in a classroom setting. And, things like Title IX are important. Not segregating our kids or labeling a child based on the color of their skin, but rather on the content of their character. And when we see a left socialist democratic sort of party that is almost unrecognizable or anti-American, it makes one wonder, how can you even stay committed to those kinds of policies when we see what they do to the American people? So I thank you so much. I think that you're a great leader, and your decision to do this, I think, is certainly inspiring other people to make the same change. I do want to talk a little bit about the victory that we had this Friday, and that was the protection of life in the womb, known as the Supreme Court's reversal of Roe v. Wade. And of course, this is a great step to smaller government, because what it does is it gives power back to the states regarding abortion laws, just as it was prior to 1973. But I fear, Congressman, that the misconception of this reversal of Roe v. Wade will play a vastly negative effect on our midterm elections. And the media has really twisted it into a full ban on abortions, is what they're saying. They're trying to, for the casual listener who's not tuning in or paying attention to details, they're saying there's a ban on abortions. And so that people who are maybe teetering on the fence of switching to the right might be falling back into the safety nets of supporting Democrats. So as someone who has seen both sides, how do you think that this reversal and really this hysteria, which is surrounding mass media, how is this going to affect our Republican Party? Is there a way that everyday Americans can see the truth and the importance of this reversal without being bombarded with leftist lies?
Well, you're so right. And you're such a big part of that by actually telling the truth. The truth will set you free. It really does. What's going on, we have, and I'm going to get directly to your question, but in our country and in this world, we've got multi-billionaires around the world that want to change the fabric of America, multi-billion-dollar corporations, policies that are put forth by celebrities, and many others who are literally trying to change, and you referenced it before, and destroy our country. Something really very unusual is going on. This is the most challenging and the worst time and the most challenging time in the history of America since the Civil War. Now, that was a wonderful decision, and there's two reasons that it was wonderful. By the way, we had two really good decisions within a few days, and the second decision is that, if somebody wants to get on their knees and silently pray a coach when they're at a football game, they're not going to lose their job. Imagine that in America, that somebody, because he wanted to pray for the welfare of the people that are playing for him, the welfare of the people that were there, lost his job. For 7 years. He fought to get the freedom of speech that he deserved and that we all deserve. An amazing, amazing result. Just that alone was so wonderful. And then, of course, on top of it, which came first, the fact that abortion, I break it down in my mind in two ways. The first part of this is the spiritual and scientific. Spiritually, you really have to think about what you're doing. Follow the science, by the way, also. We've learned a lot and evolved a lot in science over the past number of years. And what we realize is when we look at the three-dimensional views that we have now of kids and what that means, of those little babies that are actually, in the womb, we understand that there's much more there. It's not just an amorphous mass or just a blob. These are little babies with hands and feet and toes and eyes and mouth and everything. They're little babies in the womb. It was you, it was me, we were all, and that's how we came to be alive. And we know so much more because before, without the science that we have now, we could have sort of been tricked. Well, they're not really alive. They're not really anything yet. No, we know better. So follow the science. It's evolved. Follow your spirit. You should. And then follow the Constitution. The Constitution of the United States of America never, ever, ever guaranteed anybody the right to an abortion. In fact, when the Constitution was created, all abortion was illegal. So all that this ruling did is say that, you know what, this is not a constitutional issue. It doesn't belong here. It doesn't belong with the feds. This belongs state by state for those states to make choices. And you know what? If you want to have unlimited abortion, well, you're going to have to live with that in your conscience, but you're going to have to make that decision with your legislators and your legislature and your governor, and you make that decision. So there are going to be different decisions that are made. In New Jersey, I'm sad to say that our governor is for abortion right up to the 9th month. In fact, I think he's for abortion even after birth if the abortion goes wrong. And I'm sure that you've heard and seen that as well. Some of the governors support that, and some people do. They're going to have to live with that. But as far as it being constitutional, it's not. They made the right decision at every level.
Thank you. Really, you've laid it out so well. And I think that that's the truth there that people need to better understand. And so our AMAC'ers listening, they do such a great job educating their own friends, families, neighbors and such. This really puts power back in the hands of the people who can make those decisions to vote certain people in office who are going to make decisions as to what that state allows. I love that you pointed out that these babies developing in the womb, they ought to have. I mean, those on the left don't see that as a real life, as a viable life. We know that that's not true. We know that science points entirely in the other direction. We know what a baby looks like on these 3D sonograms that we see. But isn't it funny, Congressman, how so many people who are pro-death, I call it, or pro-abortion, so many of those people, what they don't want to recognize is the science, and they don't realize that they're here opposing life. But isn't it interesting how their own parents chose life for them? And so I think as a nation, I pray for a healing, and I pray that we can wake up the conscience of our nation so that we can respect life and honor life and give every child the opportunity. I thank you so much for laying it out for us as you did, Congressman. I do want to shift and speak with you about the economy, because you must hear a great deal about runaway inflation. And we know that was created by Biden's energy policies and his bloated spending habits. And just last week, you made a statement saying that, I quote, President Biden's gas tax holiday is only going to save Americans 18 cents a gallon. This will not do anything for Americans when the average price per gallon remains around $5. Why doesn't Biden approve leases to drill in America instead? And so, Congressman, we love your solution to allow drilling permits completely, but how do you see the Bidens' call for a 3-month federal gas tax holiday affecting American families? Is this another ploy to appease consumers while we're approaching the 2022 midterm elections?
It's a ploy. It's a joke. Even his buddy, President Obama, said that it was a little while back. 18 cents isn't going to make a major difference here, number one. What it will do is make sure that we fall even further behind in our infrastructure, because that money is used for infrastructure to fix our bridges and our roads and so forth. What it will also do is make sure that, we don't come up with any real answer, because he's going to say that is the answer and that they've done something. That's a bad answer. Everything they've done for our economy has been wrong. I've never seen, in fact, I've said this before, and I'm going to say it on your show. He is the worst president. This is the worst majority party, in my mind, in the history of the United States of America, over so many issues, whether it be the moral issues that you bring up or the fiscal economic issues. A year and a half ago, we were on top of the world. A year and a half ago, we were exporting energy. A year and a half ago, we were number one. Let me make something clear. There's no place for America other than to be number one in the world. Some people don't like that. They think that's just, too egocentric of Americans to think that. I disagree. We are a great country. We're the best country that was ever on the face of the earth, and we should be number one, and we were. We opened our borders and let people pour in that are sick, that are bringing drugs, that are hurting many of the people that are with them, that are on terrorist watch lists, and we don't even catch most of them. They're all going through our country. Literally, as I said before, it is like someone is purposely, or a group, more than someone, a group purposely trying to destroy the fabric of our real America. And part of that is strong energy. We open those leases up. We give those permits out. We pull some of that red tape out. Before you know it, everybody will be coming to us. We won't be going on our knees to OPEC. We won't be going on our knees to Venezuela or to Russia or to whomever. It's the same with the supply chain. We can manufacture. We can produce. We are the best, smartest, greatest nation in the world, and I won't accept anything less. And these other people, and Democrats know a lot, who used to not be that way.
That's right. AMAC members, they understand it. America is the greatest nation on earth. And Congressman, I always like to say, here's why. The reason why is there is no other nation that promotes freedom,
Right.
and individual liberty the way the great United States of America does. We are a beacon. We are a light of hope to the world. You don't want to live in North Korea. You don't want to live in China. When you understand that in China, they can take your children, or that in North Korea, you will be murdered for opening up a Bible or gathering in prayer. You have no access to the truth in these countries. And in America, that is what makes us great. We don't say that we're great because we like to boast. We don't say that we're great because we want to put other people down. We say we are great because we want to inspire the rest of the world. And I get this vision in my head. Every living thing strives and looks and searches for freedom. If you're looking at weeds in your driveway or in between your bricks, those weeds want to come out. Every living thing, every bird, every animal, every human being, I think, is born with, obviously, human beings have wonderful gifts. All of us have varying gifts. We're all made so differently. And we have wonderful gifts to share with the rest of the world. And we want to encourage all nations to follow, America's wonderful, wonderful Bill of Rights and our Declaration of Independence and our U.S. Constitution, and use America as a model for what can happen. So when we say America, or when people say America is not great, what you're saying is freedom is not great. That freedom should not be fought for. People have died for this nation. Congressman, I want to thank you because you give us such a great perspective. And, it's wonderful to hear from good guys like you who are really loving this country and working for the people who put you in office. So I thank you for your perspective there.
And thank you for what you're doing. Keep going. You folks fill a very important role. To get the truth out is so important. And, even on social media, it's hard. I think of freedom. I literally was with President Trump, and he spoke and I spoke, and we put it up on YouTube. And you know that YouTube took it off because they said it was disinformation. And let me tell you, I don't say disinformation. I tell you how it is. I tell the truth, regardless of what it is. And nobody was putting out any disinformation. But that's what worries me about the country. That's why, quite frankly, this election coming up is so important. We have to get Congress. We have to get the Senate. And we're only going to be able to block things because we still don't have the right to sign bills. But at least we can stop a lot of this horrific things that are going on. And then hopefully in 2 years, get a really good president who loves America.
That's what we're praying for, Congressman. And again, I mean, I think that it's so good that you have joined us today. I do have a few quick questions. If you have a few more moments,
Sure.
I know how precious your time
Absolutely.
is. Thank you. You have been such a strong supporter of veterans. And as you know, AMAC veterans, are a big part of AMAC's membership. Roughly 25% have actually served. And many of our members and veterans are in need of medical care, not to mention really a basic appreciation for the decision that they made to step up, step forward, and defend our country. And only 7% roughly of the country today consists of veterans. So our membership is a much greater percentage than that. I was shocked to learn that only 1% is on active duty. So I think we really owe these Americans more than we can ever repay. So I do want to ask you, what more do you think that we could be doing in Congress to really elevate these concerns and bring more attention to our veterans?
Well, one thing that we can do, all of us, is exactly what you said, from the beginning, to appreciate them, to let them know that we love them, that we honor them, that we understood, and we do understand what they have done for us. Many people don't, and that needs to change. Some do, and I'm always proud when folks do. And by the way, I don't mean, and I love to give out proclamations and commendations and medals. All that's really important. But what's really important, that they have the health care that they need. And we need to look at that even more in Congress because the VA is still not what it should be. We need to make sure that they have housing when they need it and they don't have it, when they have psychological, psychiatric care, mental health issues when they need it, because many of them do, that they get positions, that they get jobs when they need it. So across the board, there are so many things that we need to do for our veterans because they're willing to die for us. They signed a contract. I'll die for you,
That's exactly right. And I'm glad you're mentioning the resources. The AMAC Foundation, if folks go to amacfoundation.org, we have compiled all of those resources in one spot. So, in other words, everything from housing to medical care to PTSD to issues if you're a family member or you have someone you love and you're concerned for. There are so many fabulous resources right there. amacfoundation.org, veterans resources, everything from Social Security, you name it, it's all right there. Check it out, to our great veterans out there. And thank you for just emphasizing that appreciation. What a major difference it can make in the life of someone if you just say thank you. You pick up their tab at a diner. You
Yep.
hold the door open for one of our great veterans, or you take a moment to pause and just say thank you, because you just hit the nail on the head. They signed a contract to die. They gave their life to the U.S. government and said, "I am now property of the United States government in service for America and all of that which we stand for." It's just amazing what our brave veterans have done over the 250 years that
It
America's been
is,
here.
and
So
we've got to focus on them more. One thought came to me. Look, I feel very badly about what's happening to Ukraine. We all do. We all understand the issues. We see the videos, but we just sent 40 billion, not million, $billion over to Ukraine. But somehow a lot of issues will come up and legislation will come up, and oh, we just don't have the money for that for our veterans. We don't have the money to take care of our American veterans. I find that a little hard to digest.
point well made. Very well made. Congressman, I do want to highlight one other issue on which you are constantly leading, and that is really attention to our children. You introduced the Stronger Schools Act. Now, this is a bill that would help strengthen support for school safety, and you really are a constant voice for protecting America's kids. So, AMAC is grateful for those who really stand up, and you have done that in so many ways. Can you tell us about your perspective on children's safety and more about this bill that you introduced to protect children?
Absolutely. So
Thank
this
you.
bill is multifaceted and actually will join with some other bills. There's really, with all that we're seeing, the gun violence and what we're concerned, there's three major areas here. Mental health, making sure that we get more help for people that have mental health issues. The second issue is to make sure that we have resource officers in our schools. They are either, and in my bill, you'll like this, they are either former police who've retired, which is done in some places now, or qualified veterans. So now this gives a role for the veterans in all of this too. They would love it. They are so excited about it. So they would be certified. They have to know what they're doing, both former police and the veteran, make sure that everything is as it should be with their knowledge of protecting the school. So they'd be right in the main entrance of any school. Second part, you'd have to buzz your way in. When you buzz your way in, you would go into what I call an ante room, a room before you're actually in the school. And it's bulletproof glass. So even if you've got some real bad actor out there who's going to try to shoot his way through because he's in this class because he didn't get all the way in the school, he's not going to be able to. And that will give enough time to the resource officer to look and to see what's going on. Why does he have a big bundle underneath him? Gee, we didn't even know he was coming. Gee, it looks like he has a gun. He's not going to go anywhere. He's locked in there, and the resource officer can deal with that. If we had that program in place during some of what happened, like Uvalde, it wouldn't have happened. And then finally, if everything's okay, you press the buzzer and you're let in. So that increases safety manyfold and certainly would really be a major, major improvement. And the amazing thing to me, with all the talk of gun control and everything else, the Democrats don't want to do it. Not only are they not interested in it, they refuse to post my bill or bills that are similar. If you really want to keep kids safe, why would you not have that in every school? There's a place to send money. There's a place where we should spend to make sure our little ones are safe. Because guess what? You can change gun laws as much as you want. They talked about it over some of these tragedies that happened, not only with what happened there, but just over Memorial Day weekend. The gangbangers and people throughout our country and the criminals who sometimes have 20 or 30 times they've been in prison already for a short period of time and they're let out immediately. They have all kinds of priors. All those folks, 250 murders over Memorial Day weekend. And it wasn't in schools and it wasn't just the madman. It was just up and up straight murders. We've got to do something about that, and we can. Guess what else I believe in? Tough on crime. I believe in the rule of law. So when you do something bad and they catch you and it's a violent crime and you've got 20 priors, don't let them out like these prosecutors are. They're letting them right out again. They're in jail. And if they do it a few times, like 3 times and you're out, we don't have that anymore. I believe in it. 3 times, you're out, you're in jail, you're maybe never coming out, because we got to take care of the men and women and children of America and not have people who have committed violent crimes over and over again, constantly released. That's wrong. And again, it's evil, and it's something, again, that seems like we purposely want to destroy our country.
That is very true. And you wonder how certain leaders like Ascon could be completely blind to the soaring crime rates in his own area, in his own city, in his district, and completely just say, well, we've got to have compassion on these people. I mean, anybody with a sound mind, and anyone who I know all of our listeners, AMAC members, I can't imagine somebody who would be against safety, protecting our children in schools, and preventing, terrorists from coming over the southern border. It does make you wonder. You opened up earlier, you mentioned who the heck is running this nation. It sure feels like there is an enemy within. or an
There
enemy
is.
afar that's controlling the people within. But something is very, very wrong with leadership today, and it's
I don't see
fundamental.
I don't see conspiracies. Believe me, I'm a general dentist by profession. I'm just a regular straight shooting guy. I don't see conspiracies behind every door. Something is wrong, and we've got to get it.
Something
We got
is
to bring
wrong.
America home. We got to get it back on track. And real quickly, compassion. You know what compassion is to me? Compassion towards the little girl that got raped. Compassion to the family where somebody got murdered. Compassion for, these are all some stories in the news. You can read
The
them every day in
5-month-old
the
little
news.
baby girl that was, shot,
Yep.
a bullet just right
The
through the
senior
vehicle,
citizen,
right in.
the senior
The
citizen who's
senior
beaten to death.
citizens that are being, yeah, and all of the uh, terrible, terrible hate that we see, and then and leadership, sadly, of this nation is not calling out those people that are creating a lot of violence and terror right here at home. And instead, they encourage, you haven't seen it yet, comments that were made, to the Supreme Court and the people that were really stalking our Supreme Court justices and threatening their lives. We need real leadership to stand up against that kind of tyranny. And I've said it always from the beginning, Congressman, that all year since Biden's been in office, we have seen a rule or ruin approach. We're seeing that the Democrats want to rule their way, and if they can't, because things don't pass, like the federal takeover of our elections, then they want to ruin the nation for the rest of Americans who don't go along with their way of
I know.
ruling us.
We're not
So
going to let them ruin it.
we're not going to let them. We are not going to let them. Congressman, I have one final question for you. As you look at the challenges that are really facing all Americans, what do you think is going to drive? What are the issues that are going to drive people to the polls in November and then again in 2024 as we elect, hopefully, a new president? And what do you think the outcome might look like this November?
Well, this November, I think we're going to have strong gains in the House of Representatives and in the Senate. I think we're going to be in a strong position where we can stop some of this nonsense. Secondly, what's going to really affect people? The things that they touch and feel. Why is it that, people are going to say, why are we putting things in our textbooks for, second and third and fourth graders that never should be in there? Stuff that we shouldn't be talking about, transgender issues, and who made that decision? Things that are going to affect people are, why do we have millions of people crossing the border illegally and nobody's stopping them? Why don't we it's not complicated. Think about this. All we have to do is close the border and make some agreements with Mexico and other countries and put our foot down the way President Trump did. What's going to really make people think of things that are tangible to them. Why can't they afford to do things anymore? Why do they have so much debt? Because they're paying so much for gasoline, because their food costs are going up, because everything is more expensive. And there's a host more. It's every day, in every way, this administration is disappointing and literally hurting the people of the United States of America.
It'll be interesting to see if Donald J. Trump does run again and whether or not DeSantis runs. And if that does happen, what that might look like. It'll be very interesting to watch things unfold into the future. I just
I'm
want to
ready.
thank you so much. Yeah, I'm ready too. I think essentially the longer we keep Biden there, and I hope that it is him and no one else right up till Election Day 2024, I think it's going to be an easy win for anyone else because he has done so poorly in the polls. I just can't imagine that Biden can lose any more popularity because he is certainly one of the, if not the most unpopular presidents, certainly in my lifetime. Congressman, thank you so much.
Thank you. I very much enjoyed being on with you. Keep going, keep pushing, and keep getting the word out.
Well, thank you, because you're leading in ways that really make a difference, and we are all very grateful. And I hope to have you back with us again as the political cycle really speeds towards us. So thank you, Congressman.
Okay, thank you.
And I want to thank every one of you AMAC members out there. Thank you for tuning in. And if you haven't downloaded the AMAC News app, go ahead and do so. You can watch this show. You can listen to all kinds of podcasts and track breaking news right there on your smartphone. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button, like, follow, and share wherever you are on social media. Until next time, I'm Rebecca Weber. This is your podcast, Better for America. Thank you for being here. God bless you. Have a great day, everyone.
You're listening to the Better for America podcast, presented by AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. To learn more about AMAC and all it has to offer, visit us at www.amac.us.